Yo, what's up, Broncos country? How's it going today, guys? Me and Muhammad are back to bring you some more news that came out this week that we're going to talk about. One thing that we have to talk about is not really Broncos related, but it's just something we feel like we should touch on. And we're going to go over the PJ Lock news. Me and Muhammad are going to go over some trades or signings the Broncos could possibly do, and then we're going to go over the schedule and tell you which games we think are the easy games this year and which games we think are going to be the hard games this year. So to start off first, Mohammed, what was your gut reaction to the Dolphins trading? Uh, I think it was Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey and like a late round pick swap to the
Mhm.
Steelers for Micah Fitzpatrick and the late round pick. What was your initial thoughts on that?
Honestly, Eddie, when I saw it, I think the Dolphins lost their mind. Like it's not even who they trading. It's just the compensation. Okay, Minka Fitzpatrick, I know is a good safety and all, but a, a cornerback of that caliber, straight up for a safety, and they're getting a tight end for a late fifth round pick. It just does not make sense to me as far as the compensation. Now with the Steelers, of course, they improved. Their secondary improved immensely, right? And they got a good tight end for Aaron Rodgers. The Dolphins, I don't know, Eddie. To me, it seems like they're rebuilding, trying to clear up some cap space. It's not. It doesn't make sense to me. So that's the only thing that I can come up with. Um, why would they do that? Why would just they take this compensation? Like I said, man, it makes no sense to me. Hey, we might be seeing some more moves from the Dolphins. Maybe they're going to be releasing some more players. You know, we shall see what happens in the incoming weeks.
Yeah, my initial reaction to this was whatever. I really don't care. Personally, I mean, if I had to pick who won this trade, I would probably say the Steelers, I guess, because to me, what the Miami Dolphins are doing right now, to me, this signifies their. I think this is their last year under Mike McDaniel. I think they're trying to. Honestly, I can't really say 100% what they're doing. Like you just trade. I mean, yeah, you got a great safety, so you. I mean, to me, they really didn't get any better from this move. In fact, they might have gotten worse. I mean, as you saw, they traded their, I guess, their first ranked tight end, and to get a safety, pretty much that replaces Jalen Ramsey. Maybe not at the quarterback room, but in the secondary at least. And now I'm sure you heard after that they traded, I believe, for Darren Waller, a guy that was retired.
Yeah,
Like
come
he was
on.
still under contract with the Giants, so he literally had to come out of retirement. The Dolphins had to trade for him for the Giants to release his contract to the Dolphins. It's like honestly, I don't know what the heck they're doing.
So
Like they're not trying to win. It
nope,
doesn't seem like. It seems like they're just throwing stuff against the wall and hoping something sticks.
they're treading
And
water.
honestly, with the Jets in that division, me personally, I don't think the Jets are going to be good this year. I think they're going to be okay. Like I think Aaron Glenn being there is going to rebuild that culture. He's still a defensive guy, so I think the defense in New York is still going to be pretty dang good. But the offense, I mean, they're relying on Justin Fields and pretty much all the same offensive weapons that they had last year with Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know, man. The Jets, they're probably gonna be okay. The Patriots are on the rise. Like they got their head coach, like in Mike Vrabel. We know Mike Vrabel is a good head coach. He had the Titans in the playoffs multiple years, and he had them for the one seed one year. I think what was it, 2022 or 2021? He had the Titans as the one seed in the AFC. So and they got Drake May. They got their, hopefully their franchise guy. We'll have to see. I mean, he got to play a little bit last year, but I don't think it was enough last year to say, yeah, Drake May is the franchise guy. Not saying he can't be, because I think he can, but we need to see a little bit more out of Drake May before we can make that assumption. And then you got the Bills. Like the Bills are going to dominate that division. We already know that. Like they're one of the best teams in the AFC. So if I had to guess right now, I think the Dolphins are probably going to be third, maybe even last in the division, man. They're probably going to be competing with the Jets for last in the division. I don't know what the heck. I mean, I like Tua, But Tyreek Hill's unsatisfied. They just got rid of their number one corner. They got rid of their, first ranking tight end. They literally are bringing a guy in out of retirement to play tight end. I think the Dolphins are going to be probably the worst team, if not, they're either going to be the third worst team or the worst team in that division this year. Like the
But
Dolphins
Eddie,
are done. What's up?
do you think that means that we might see Tyreek Hill being moved, being traded?
I
In the
believe so. Tyreek Hill's already made it clear he wants out of Miami.
Well,
Now,
he's
where he
only
goes, I don't know. Like, I don't think the Dolphins are going to trade him until midseason. Like, I think they're going to try to see if they can win games, and by midseason, they're going to be like, oh, we're not going to we're not doing nothing. We're not going to win anything. Trade Tyreek and just try to get some picks out of him because we already know Tyreek Hill wants out of Miami. Now, where he goes and what his draft compensation is going to be, that's a story for a different pod, different day. Because honestly, I couldn't tell you. He's 30. What Tyreek's 30 or 31. So he's going to start declining pretty soon. His speed is going to be probably the first thing that goes, which is what Tyreek Hill is known for.
exactly.
So we'll have to wait and see on that aspect. From the Steelers side, though, this is a win for the Steelers, in my opinion. Yeah, you lose Micah Fitzpatrick, but there's plenty of safeties out there on the open market, which, by the way, the number one safety I heard of that could be a target for the Steelers is, guess who? Justin Simmons.
Just
Because Justin Simmons is still a free agent. Which honestly, that'd probably be good. You get another great corner in Jalen Ramsey with the corners that you got. I can't remember who their other. I think Elliott is the other safety they have back there. You go out and get Justin Simmons, boom, you got your safety duo right there. And to me, what the Steelers are doing here, they're pushing this all in for 1 year. This is their year. They're putting all their chips in the middle of the table for this year. Aaron Rodgers trading for DK Metcalf, getting Jonnu Smith, which they already had Pat Fryermuth at tight end, but this move for Jonnu, him being included on the deal, is more of an Arthur Smith type move because he's been with Arthur Smith this will be the third time he's been with him. Once in Tennessee, once in Atlanta, and now he's going to be with him in Pittsburgh. So he'll be able to run more of those two tight end, beefy up, line sets. So this to me is the Steelers pushing their chips all in this year, and now people are going to be like, well, what do you mean by that? Does that mean Super Bowl? Does that mean playoffs? No. I think that means they're trying to push all their chips into the middle to get into the playoffs and possibly win a playoff game. That's it. Like, because if the Steelers make the playoffs this year and they win a playoff game, that can maybe give some justification to the Steelers ownership to keep Mike Tomlin for another year, which I don't think that is the dumbest thing in the world. They just need, I'm glad they're pushing all their chips in and trying to go for it. Good. You're not lollygagging around it no more. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you need to strip it down and rebuild. And the one thing that people always say that kind of irritates me is that, oh, if Mike Tomlin gets fired, he's going to get scooped up in a heartbeat. No, he's not. Look at Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of our generation. 6 Super Bowls. He got fired. Did he get picked up? No, he got picked up by a college team.
he's going back to college. Yeah, going back to college.
So I don't believe Mike Tomlin's going to get scooped up by a team. Like, I think his message is stale. I don't think it's all about offense. Like I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I will not be surprised if in the next 5 years we see nothing but offensive-minded head coaches because that's what the league is trending towards.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I'm all for it because I don't understand why people would want to hire a defensive-minded head coach. I don't. The only defensive-minded head coach in years that has been close to the Super Bowl since Bill Belichick with the 2019 or was it 18 Patriots, I think it was Sean McDermott. Like him and the Bills are in the playoffs. They're the only constant with a defensive-minded head coach that are in the playoffs every year and competing to get to that Super Bowl. And guess what? Who's the one person that can never get by every year? Andy Reid, the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes. Offense is where it's at. So Mike Tomlin, I think the whole thing with the Steelers, they need to rip it all down. They need to tear it down and rebuild it, hire themselves an offensive-minded head coach, and get their quarterback of the future. Because this is just getting pathetic. This is their last chance. And honestly, I've said this before. I don't think the Steelers are going to make the playoffs this year, and I think this is going to be his first losing season in Mike Tomlin's career. I really do. I think they're going to go like 8-9, and they're not going to make the playoffs. And then maybe that'll hopefully be enough for the Steelers ownership to be like, you know what, Mike Tomlin, I like you, but it's time to move on.
And Aaron Rodgers
So
is probably going to retire anyway after this year, regardless of the
yeah,
outcome. I don't think he's playing.
yeah, he basically said that a couple weeks ago. He's like, yeah, pretty much this is my last year. Now, I'm not going to 100% take Aaron Rodgers' word for it because he might get an itch up, his butt and want to play again next year. I don't know. But if he goes out and has another year like last year, I would just hang it up. I'd be like, I'm done.
There's
I don't
nothing
want to
to prove. I don't get it,
screw up
man.
my, huh?
I said there's nothing to prove for him. I don't get it. You know.
I think he just doesn't just like all the Hall of Famers, like coaches, just players in general. They don't want to go down on a low note. They want to go down at least on a high note. Maybe not a Super Bowl, but at least like a playoff appearance or something.
Yeah.
They don't want to go down on that bad foot. But I don't know, man. But I do think this is a better win for the Steelers. But at the end of the day, the Steelers just need to tear it all down, regardless, in my opinion. Before we move on, guys, please like, comment, subscribe on this video. Also hit that bell notification so you know when we go live. First off, we got a couple of comments here. First one here is from Trey Richmond 06. He's like, how do you feel?
That's nice, man.
Okay. Feeling pretty good. Enjoying the nice weather outside. Got another one from him here. He said, how do you feel about going against the Chargers? I'm not. Jim Harbaugh is a bum. The Harbaugh brothers are bums to me, so I feel great. What about you, Mohammed?
A little bit scared. I have to wait to see how everything kind of pans out for us, but they kind of make me nervous a little bit because of the matchup. But I think we have a better defense, so that's what I'm relying on.
Yeah, we definitely do. The Chargers have lost some key players this year, and honestly, they don't scare me a bit. Like they literally did. They added running backs. They added Amari and Hampton. They added Najee Harris. But dude, they have no tight end. Their offensive line's not that good. They brought back a freaking aging. Who was it? Keenan Allen or Mike Williams? One of those two. I can't remember who it was. They brought back. They didn't really add anybody else, and they lost Bosa on the defense. Their defense doesn't really scare me.
It's
And
AGD.
honestly, I don't know why people are so like in on Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh. The guys are bums. I'm sorry, they are. Yeah, they're good coaches. They can make the playoffs, but they can't win. Like, okay, is it John? I think it's John Harbaugh. Won the Super Bowl what? 15 years ago?
Or Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's like 45 now or something.
Yeah. And honestly, I've said this before about his brother Jim. Like, the roster was pretty solid. Like, they had a top defense whenever John Harbaugh got to Baltimore. They still had like the likes of like Ray Lewis and stuff on that team. So, like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't trust the Harbaugh brothers. They're good coaches. I'm not going to say they're bad or they're washed or they're horrible. They're good head coaches, but whenever I think of elite head coaches, I think of Bill Belichick, Andy Reid. I think of, I'm not going to say Sean Payton because he's only won one Super Bowl and that was 15 years ago. But coaches that win multiple Super Bowls. Out of the Harbaugh brothers, only one brother's made it to a Super Bowl and won it, and it was John, and that was like 15 years ago.
Against his brother.
Against his brother, yeah, exactly. So I'm sorry, I just no. Like, I'm not scared of the Harbaugh brothers. Like, yeah, the Ravens beat us last year. I mean, they kicked our ass, but to be fair, we had 50 something $1 million in dead cap. We didn't have a tight end one. We didn't have an RB1. We had no run game outside of Bo Nix last year. We had no way to work the middle of the field last year. Yeah, we have receivers. You had Troy Franklin, you had Marvin Mims, you had Devon Bailey. Two of those guys were rookies. Marvin Mims, he didn't really start having his breakout until almost towards the end of the season. So you literally only have one weapon in Cortland Sutton. No tight end, no RB1, and basically one wide receiver. This year, you got Evan Ingram. Marvin Mims is going to take that step forward. You brought in Pat Bryant. You got Evan Ingram. You got running backs in RJ Harvey and Dobbins. So this offense is going to be a lot more explosive this year. Last year, we averaged 25 points a game with the crap that we had. This year, it was someone predicted that we're going to average 28 points a game. I believe that. An extra field goal with the weapons that we brought in, hell yeah. And our defense is going to be more deadly. They only let 18 points a game last year. This year, with the defense being better and the offense being better, the offense is going to score more. Defense is going to, hold opponents to less points. Yeah, I do believe the Broncos are going to be a lot better than the freaking Chargers this year. They're the only team in this division that have honestly gotten better enough to where they can actually win a division. The Chiefs got worse. The Chargers got worse. The Raiders did get better, but they still don't have enough on that team to win. So that's why I got the Broncos going 13-4 and winning the division, because it's open for them to do it. So, but yeah, that's how I feel about the Steelers and Dolphins trade. Next up, there have been some rumors. Mohammed, I want to get your thoughts on this. There have been some rumors that the Broncos could possibly sign Amari Cooper, or at least another veteran wide receiver. What are your thoughts on this?
Honestly, Eddie, like I don't see the need for it. If like all our wide receivers were young, we didn't have Sutton. Mims, I guess his third year. I would say so, but I don't want to stunt the growth of the young wide receivers that we have. We have Sutton. Mims is coming up. Franklin is looking a lot better this year. Vele. And then we have Pat Bryant. Why would we do that? Now, halfway through the season, if they're not getting enough production from our wide receivers, maybe. But right now, I would not do that. It's just because whose spot is he going to take, right? If we have Sutton, Mims, Franklin, Pat Bryant, have big hopes for him. I wouldn't want to ruin that for our wide receivers, so I'll be against it.
Yeah, I'm against it 100%. Actually, 1,000%, because you already got enough weapons on this offense now. You got Evan Ingram that you brought in. You got Cortland Sutton still. Marvin Mims. You got Pat Bryant, who we've heard that Sean Payton compared to. He has the intangibles, Sean Payton said, of a Michael Thomas. You still got Vele, who's a really good receiver, and Troy Franklin. And now you got two running backs. Like, there's just not going to be like, you bring in Amari Cooper. Like, you're not going to have enough snaps to go around to all these guys. It's not going to happen. And I don't see the point. Like, and Sean Payton's not that kind of guy. Like, Sean Payton's not the kind of guy who's like, hey, let's trade, or let's go sign this, old veteran. Like, I'm not saying Amari Cooper can't be good, but Sean Payton, he's got the veterans in the room. He's got an Evan Ingram who's good at tight end, to catch the ball. He's got Cortland Sutton. I mean, he doesn't really need another, veteran. He's got it in there, and they're already trying to, rumors going around that Cortland Sutton wants to be paid. He wants a pay raise basically, and they're probably going to get it done before training camp, which is only 2 weeks away, guys. Mm-hmm. So no, do not sign Amari Cooper. Don't do it. Just keep Sutton, keep your guys. Like I said, there's not going to be enough balls to go around for all these guys during the season. There's not. There's not going to be enough touches for these guys during the season. You got two running backs who we know Sean Payton is going to use like crazy this year because he loves having two running backs. You got a tight end who's going to, who's building the chemistry with Knicks and who Sean Payton's going to really utilize a lot over the middle of the field. You still got your number one in Sutton. You got Troy Franklin. You got Devon Vele. You got Marvin Mims, and you got Pat Bryant. That's what receivers like. That's like 6 receivers right there, 5 receivers right there, plus a tight end and 2 backs. Like, no, it's stupid to sign a receiver, especially an older one like that when you already got one in the building in Sutton, who's honestly probably more reliable at this point in his career. So, and has the chemistry with Knicks nonetheless. So, I'd say no. I don't think the Broncos, like, they'll have more money next year. They're still eating $35 million, I think, this year, Mohammed, of Russell Wilson's dead cap. But by next offseason, Russ is going to be completely off our books by next offseason. They still got to pay the likes of Cortland Sutton, like I said, is going to want to raise. John Franklin Myers wants to be paid. So does Zach Allen. So does Nick Benito. And then here in like another 2 years, you got to start saving up to pay Knicks. So, and honestly, your offensive line, like Lou Wattenberg, that's another one. I think he's in the last year of his deal or second to last year of his deal. He's probably going to want a contract. And then you're going to have to worry about, you've already paid Myers and Bowles. Those two are good for a couple of years. But then you got Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey you got to start worrying about here in the next year or two, too. So I'd say no. Pay the guys that you want to keep. Like, personally, Zach Allen, Nick Benito, Cortland Sutton. Keep those three. Let John Franklin Myers walk.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
it's not just John Franklin Myers either. Excuse me. DJ Jones. He only signed a 1-year deal to come back for one more year. So next year you got to figure out what you're doing at one right end and defensive tackle. So you got to figure out what you're doing at those positions. Um, the next thing, Muhammad, I wanted to touch on was, I believe, was the possibility of signing pass rushers Zadarius Smith. What are your thoughts on this?
Sort of the same thing, Eddie. Like we got all these players. Like, why are we trying to bring an outsider? Basically, he's pretty decent, but why we don't really need him, as far as I'm concerned. We got Benito, JFM, Tillman, Ellis, you name it. Like why? And then we added a few on this draft. Like, why would we go ahead and bring him in and stunt the growth of our pass rushers, right? I mean, if we're doing that, might as well bring Von Miller if you're gonna bring a veteran in. So same thing, same like the Amari Cooper deal. I don't think it's necessary. Like I said, these things could always change, Eddie, as we go through the season. Something happens, God forbid, we have an injury, or you're not really getting what you need from your pass rushers. Yes, but as it stands right now, I would say no. I'll be against it definitely.
Yeah, again, just like with the Amari Cooper thing, I'm against this. Why? Why? Once again, any money that you have, you need to save for Nick Benio, Zach Allen, Cortland Sutton, and possibly a new defensive tackle and another defensive end, depending on how Savion Jones, turns out. If Jones turns out to be the next, John Franklin Myers, he can be our next starting defensive end. Then, I mean, you ain't got to worry about that. But you still got to worry about defensive tackle and the other three guys I listed. And two, why? You got multiple pass rushers. You got so many pass rushers coming out of your wazoo that you don't even know what to do with them all.
Mhm.
You really don't. Like, there's going to be guys that you're going to try to slide on the practice squad, and they're probably not going to make it. You got Nick Benito, who is going to be one of your starting pass rushers, who you're either going to have to decide to pay or not by the end of this season. Jonathan Cooper, who you did pay last year, maybe even though the Broncos, like Carl said last week, they might be regretting that now.
Mhm.
But they still paid him. He's going to be your starter too. And then behind him, you got Jonah Ellis, who had 5 sacks. I'm sorry, not Jonah. Did he have 5 sacks? I think Jonah Ellis had 5 sacks. DeAndre Tillman had 5 sacks last year. You drafted Q Robinson, who you have high hopes for, and also the free agent. Carl talked about him last week. I forgot what Johnny Walker, I think his name is.
Walker.
Like, you got so many outside backers coming out your rear end. Like, you don't need to sign another one. You don't. Like, when you have like so many, players in one position, why waste valuable cap resources on that position for just to bring in a veteran guy because of a? And it's not even like, I'm not saying he's not good, but you're literally bringing him in for the veteran status and the name recognition. Like, why? Like, you probably need another backup tight end. Maybe you need another. I'm trying to think. Maybe another safety. Based on the news that we got over this last week, which we'll get into here in a minute. Depending on what happens with him. Or what about defensive line or inside linebacker? There's other positions that you could use to fill other than an outside backer position that you literally don't need. Sorry, guys, I got a tickle on my throat today. But you don't need it. Why? Like, I'd say no. And he's probably going to want at least, I mean, not like a big contract, but it's probably going to be too much. It's probably going to be more than, what the Broncos are willing to pay. Same with Amari Cooper. It's probably going to be more than the Broncos are going to be willing to pay. And if you already got a bunch of players coming out your wazoo, players that you're probably going to be able to keep on the roster to put on the practice squad, hopefully, if they don't get snatched up, why spend more money at that position? Whether if it's receiver, safety, running back, offensive line, cornerback. Like, there's no reason to spend money on those rooms right now when you got all this young and veteran talent already on the roster. It makes no sense to me. So I'm a hard pass on that. But the next thing up I want to talk about, Muhammad, is some news that broke over this last week. news that literally no one saw coming. And actually, a lot of people are shocked by because apparently he was dealing with this injury throughout the entire course of last season while he was starting, which we watched him last year. He was okay, but he wasn't great. And this might be the reason why PJ Locke came out on YouTube earlier this, pretty much right after the season ended for the Broncos. And which is weird to me why no one picked this up before. Like we didn't really, the news really didn't break until last week, end of June. And this happened in January. He came out and said this, that, he had spinal infusion surgery on, a couple of pieces on the spine were out of whack, or they were like, it was like bone on bone, and he had to get it repaired. But he played like that last year. What are your thoughts on PJ Locke and this whole story?
It is shocking and pretty sad, actually, Eddie, because of the type of injury. It's something spinal infusion or something. I think I read up on it. Something to do with the spine. And anytime it's something like that, it kind of makes you fear that the player is probably going to be forced to retire, right? Um, and it kind of made me feel bad because we were kind of, I would say, slightly critical about his play last season, but it explains it now. He was injured, right? So I feel bad for him, man. I hope he's okay. Even if he decide not to play football again, I hope he's okay. Um, how is that going to affect the Broncos? Is the question. I think we're good. Yeah, we got Hufanga, we got Skinner, Smith, Brandon Jones. As far as his replacements, we're okay. We're fine. I don't think we're in a bad shape as far as the safeties. And if we need to, we can go ahead and maybe sign a veteran. But as far as the safeties we have, I think we're good. Like I said, man, I hope he's okay for his family's sake. If he decides to play or not, or retire, I wish him nothing but the best. Eddie, I think I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry, I had my mic off. Um,
That's okay.
no, the initial report I seen on this earlier in the week, the first time I seen it, it was from Gage from Broncos Syndicate.
Yeah.
I think I seen it Tuesday or Wednesday night, basically saying that it's possible that he may never play another down in the NFL again with this kind of injury that he, but over like the last couple of days, I've been watching and hearing that he pretty much says he feels great now. He feels better than he did before the surgery. He's felt like the best he's ever felt in his life, honestly, which is good. So it doesn't seem like maybe we're going down that road of, he's never going to play football again. Hopefully that's not the case. And because he'd be a solid backup to have, but it was wild to hear about it, man. Like the fact that he played on that last year with that problem, because that's a big injury. And the fact that he played through that, especially football, holy crap. Just like I said last year with Alex Singleton, whenever he tore his ACL in that Bucks game last year, and he tore it in like the first quarter, and the guy still played through the entire rest of the game on a torn ACL. That to me makes him a Broncos legend, Alex Singleton, and he's a tough SOB for doing that. But now I have to say the same for PJ Locke. To me, he's a
Yep.
Broncos legend.
Yep.
Like, honestly, I think what PJ Locke had was it probably hurt. It was probably more devastating of an injury than what Singleton had. Now, I'm not saying ACLs are not devastating and horrible. They are, but the fact that he's a safety that likes to hit hard, and he plays, well, Singleton plays defense, but in a football contact sport like football, he had that on his spine. Like that literally can affect your your whole lower body, your legs, your knees, your waist, everything. And this guy was out there playing on that.
He's
PJ
tough.
Locke is a freaking dog. He
Yeah,
is a
he is.
Broncos, just like Singleton, he's a Broncos legend in my playbook. He always will be. We talk about people that have come here and they've played and we like them, whatever. PJ Locke and Alex Singleton, no matter where they go for the rest of their lives, they're always going to be Broncos to me. if you could play through an injury like that, one of those two kinds of injuries, you're a god in my book, dude. Like that is hard to do, especially a physical sport like football. So I wish PJ Locke nothing but the best. I mean, I think he's healed already, and the fact that we didn't hear anything. I mean, well, we did. PJ Locke, like a lot of the reports I've seen, is that PJ Locke came out on his YouTube channel sometime, like I think it was right around the Super Bowl, February. He came out and did this YouTube video and pretty much said, "Yeah, I had this spinal infusion surgery and I played through it all last year, the spinal problem." The fact that it didn't get picked up or reported, and no one really paid attention to it until just now, like what was it, 4 or 5 months later? I don't get it, but I wish him a speedy recovery. I hope he comes back and plays this year. I want him on the team. Like that's another player I'd like to keep on this team. Like that kind of grit, that kind of what's the word I'm looking for here? That toughness from a player is like you can't teach that. You can't. And also what I learned earlier this week that honestly, I think this goes back 2 years because I think he had an injury or something, or it might have been the same thing a couple years ago, 2023, when Sean Payton's first year here. We played the Lions in Detroit. He stayed back in Denver because I think he was healing from an injury. He didn't fly with the team to Detroit. He and his wife and kids drove from Denver to
Yeah,
Detroit, and he played in that game.
I remember. Yeah,
PJ Locke is a Bronco for life, in my opinion.
he's tough. Yeah,
I don't care where he goes, what people say, he is a Bronco for life. That is one tough son of a gun to, do stuff like that and then still play through an injury like that. Like, PJ, I wish you the best of luck, man. I hope you play this year. And, I want to see some more hard hits. Like, I love this kid to death. So, but let us know what your comments are on the PJ Lock thing, guys. Really, really interested to know. But the last topic that we have, we're over 30 minutes here now, Mohammed. The last topic we have is I personally want to go over all the Broncos games this year, go over which games we think are going to be the hardest for the Broncos and which games we think are going to be the easiest for the Broncos. So we'll just do this, in order. We'll just go through every game in order, weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through. But week 1, what are your thoughts? Like, do you think this game's going to be easy and why?
definitely, Eddie. I think that's probably going to be one of the easiest games that we have in our schedule. I mean, you have that team doesn't really have much going forward. They're rebuilding. They got a rookie quarterback. I mean, I feel sorry for the kid, man. I mean, going against the Denver Broncos defense with the pass rush and all that, it's going to be too much for him to handle. Yeah, definitely one of the easiest games. I can't wait, and glad that we're kind of opening the season with that game.
Yeah, this game to me, like I don't like to say blowout a lot, but this game's gonna be a blowout. We're gonna just dismantle the Titans, and they don't really have a great. I mean, outside of Jeffrey Simmons, they don't really have a great defense. Offensive wise, I mean, they got Calvin Ridley, but the guy's like 30 years old. Their offensive line's not that great. Like, and they're gonna be coming to the Mile High City to play the number 1 defense, Cam Ward, and it's not going to be pretty, dude. It's not. It's going to be a massive blowout. I would say probably close to what the Broncos beat the Chiefs by last year in Week 18 when they had their backups in. That's the kind of game we're probably going to see in Week 1. Now I know it's Week 1. The Broncos, Week 1 they're probably going to be a little rusty coming out first, but it doesn't matter. The Titans literally have nothing on their team, and I'm with you, Mohammed. I feel so bad for Cam Ward. Like last year, like a lot of people will say, well, what about Bo Nix last year in Seattle? I'm like, yeah, Seattle and Bo Nix, that was hard. We had to go to Seattle, Bo Nix's first game. Bo Nix is older. He has more experience in college than Cam Ward had. And he had a little bit better talent around him on this roster, even though he didn't have a tight end or a running back. He still had a really, really good defense behind him. And he had a couple of solid weapons. He had Cortland Sutton. You had, well, what we thought could have been possibly McLaughlin, maybe I'm trying to think who was the other receiver that we had. Oh, Josh Reynolds. you had 2 veteran receivers on this roster, you know? So, like, it was okay for Bo Nix. Like, yeah, he was a rookie, but he was older. He had more experience. He had a little bit more weapons. He had a better defense. And honestly, in my opinion, a better head coach than Cam Ward has. Like, I don't think Callahan's going to be able to I think this is his last year in Tennessee, honestly. Um, but yeah, Bo Nix, he had a little bit better. Cam Ward, dude, I really hope this doesn't destroy the kid's confidence to where he doesn't turn out to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like I like watching young rookie quarterbacks. AFC, unless it's like the AFC West quarterbacks like Justin Herbert, a Raiders quarterback or a Chiefs quarterback, like I want them to fail, of course, because I don't want them to be good. I want the Broncos to be good. But at the same time, it's like any other quarterback from any other division in the AFC or in the NFC, I want to see succeed. This is going to be a really, really tough road test for this kid. First game of the season. And I have a feeling he's going to be having a new coach starting this time next year. I don't think Callahan's going to be there after this year. I just really hope it doesn't destroy this kid's confidence. I really don't. Because I want Cam Ward to succeed. I want to see what he does. I want to see what he can do in his career.
That's going to be a welcome to the NFL moment for him. That's for sure.
Oh, dude. It's going to be big for him.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying all this because I want the Titans to win, of course. I want the Broncos to demolish them, which they are. But I just don't want this to destroy that kid's confidence. So, but next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts. I believe we go to them this year. Last year, they came to Denver and played us. This year, we go to Indianapolis. And I remember whenever the schedule came out, Mohammed, before I give it over to you, that the Broncos in the NFL wanted to have this game overseas. Like, they wanted to have the Colts and the Broncos play. I can't remember if it was in like England or something. I can't remember. Or London. But the Colts said no. But what are your thoughts? Easy and why?
Yeah, maybe not. It's still easy, not as easy as the game against the Titans, but still, they have a big question mark for quarterback. Who's going to be their quarterback? Both don't really scare me at all. Defense, offense. Is it going to be a blowout? No, but I see the Broncos winning on the road. I don't see I don't see us losing that game. You know.
Yeah, the Colts, like, I'm not gonna lie, we did kind of struggle against them last year, like in the first half. But then after that, man, we just started balling, and that was with Anthony Richardson. Now, to me, it seems like Daniel Jones is probably going to be the starter because Anthony Richardson, I think, injured his throwing shoulder again or something. I can't remember if he did or not. But to me, it's not really a boost up. Going from Anthony Richardson to Daniel Jones does not boost the quarterback position, in my opinion, at all. So it's basically the same team that we played last year in Denver. And we started off slow. I think Bo Nix in that game had 3 interceptions, but then he had 3 touchdowns. But I think this year it's going to be different. Bo Nix, second year in the system, he's got more confidence. He's got more weapons. The defense is a lot better. Like, I think it's an easy game, but it's not going to be a blowout like I think it is in week 1. I think this is going to be a closer, not close, but I think instead of winning by like 3 or 4 touchdowns, like I think the Broncos are going to do in week 1, it's probably going to be more like a 10 to 14 point game, honestly. But with that said, man, like, I mean, do you see any difference like in this team compared to last year, Mohammed? I mean, do you really think Daniel Jones is any kind of a step forward from Anthony Richardson? No. I don't think so. So I can't really say that this game is going to be hard at all. It's just, man. Who's their first round pick this year? I don't even know who they drafted in the first round this year. Do you?
The tight end. God, what's his name?
It wasn't Colston Loveland, was it?
No, they get that tight end that I wanted.
Warren?
I think
Tyler
so.
Warren?
I think that's who they got.
Yeah, they did get it. I think it was Warren.
Yeah. I got see Eddie. That sounds like a long time ago, right? The draft.
I know, right? It was like 2 months ago, dude, and it feels like it was just yesterday. But you got Greenlaw, you got Hufunga, you got J.D. Barron that's going to be playing in the slot. Like, dude, I don't care who their tight end is. Like they're not going to be that successful against us. Jonathan Taylor is going to be the key, like, and this run defense. Hopefully, this run defense is better than last year, and we don't let Jonathan Taylor try to, rush on us. So that's my thing. Um, Next up, we got Week 3 at the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, Mohammed, do you think this game's gonna be hard and or easy, and why?
I don't definitely not going to be an easy game, Eddie. Like I said, with the Chargers, I'm kind of careful because I don't know, on paper we're better than the Chargers, right? Especially as far as defense. Coaching, I think Sean Payton is better. We talked about this before. But I don't know where our team is now. It's the good thing is it's not going to be the first game of the season that we got to play. It's week 3, so by that time I'm thinking that a little better. Um, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a little bit hard, but I think the Broncos going to win. Now, is it going to be a crazy win? No, probably like maybe a touchdown, a field goal, something like that. It's going to be kind of close. I think it's not going to be as easy as I anticipate.
Yeah, I think this game's gonna be a little bit harder. Like, yeah, I did say that Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh, they're not elite coaches. They're not that good. They're not elite coaches. They're good, but they're not elite. But this is still a division game, and the Chargers are better than I would say the Titans and the Colts. They are better, and divisional games are always hard. We initially did uh, our schedule, our the Broncos, schedule for 2025, and we went through each game and we, picked our wins and losses. I had the Broncos losing this game because, like, with the rest of the NFL season, the way I got it shaping up, I do feel like the Broncos are going to lose. Um, they're going to lose at least, they're going to go 3-3 in the division, in my opinion. They're going to lose to the Chargers, they're going to lose to the Raiders, and they're going to lose to the Chiefs, all on the road. At home, I think the Broncos are going to beat them, but um, to me, it's just, yeah, the Chargers running game has gotten a little bit better than last year, but I'm not worried about Najee Harris. Like, I'm not. Like Omarion Hampton, he's trying to think. He's a question mark because we don't know what he can be at in the NFL. But Najee Harris is, if he was that good, he would have stayed in Pittsburgh because that's a run first, offense with Arthur Smith. Excuse me. That's a run first offense. And with it being a defensive minded head coach wanting to play defense and run the ball, like if he was good, the Steelers would have kept him. So I'm not too worried about it. I do think it's going to be a hard game, and I do believe the Broncos are going to lose this game. But the Chargers, again, on paper, they don't have a better roster than the Broncos, and they don't have a better head coach. And I know a lot of people are going to say I'm crazy for this, but I don't even think they have the better quarterback. I don't think Justin Herbert is better than Bo Nix. You could argue that they're even right now. I'm not going to sit here and say Bo Nix is like worlds better than Justin Herbert. I do think Justin Herbert's good, but he's not better. What has Justin Herbert accomplished in this freaking league? He got his ass kicked in 2 playoff games. And one of them he was up majorly in and still got his butt kicked. So I'm sorry. I just know. I think Bo Nix and Justin Herbert right now are about the same, equal. Now, maybe Herbert can pull through. Maybe he could get ahead of Bo Nix at the end of the season, depending on what Bo Nix does, or maybe Bo Nix gets ahead of him. I don't know. But right now, they seem even to me. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is going to be a hard game, and that's the reasons why I believe it's going to be a hard game. Next up, we got this is the game. This is the first game of the season. I'm so ready for. Like, I cannot wait. It's going to be a prime time game. I think it's Monday night. Cincinnati comes to Denver and plays the Broncos. Mohammed, do you think this game is going to be hard or easy, and why?
It's the same as this Chargers game, Eddie. It's not going to be an easy game. They have a pretty good offense. Defense is a little shaky. Um, I know last time we talked about it, I had the Broncos win this game. I still think they will. Everything I say, Eddie, I'm basing it on our defense, and I'm looking at them last year, and I'm looking at them this year. They're improved, and our offense is way better. You got Bonix on a second year with Sean Payton. He's got some weapons that he can throw the ball to. So it's not gonna be easy. Gonna be pretty much like the Chargers game, pretty close, but I think the Broncos are going to prevail.
I think a lot of people are going to probably hate me for saying this, but I think this game is going to be easier than the Chargers game. Honestly,
Okay.
I do. I think it's still going to be rough. Maybe not rough is not the right word, but I think it'll be a little hard. But I think it's going to be easier than the Chargers game from the previous week. The reason why I say that is because, yeah, you got Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. Whoop de doo. Our defense is better, and look what we did to them last year with a less talented defense last year. Like, I mean, yeah, it was 30-24, but that first quarter, first half, dude, we held. I think that first half against the Cincinnati Bengals last year, we held them to 10 points in that entire first half. Now we're gonna have I think the defense got tired in the second half, or something. I don't know. Maybe the players got worn out. Maybe VJ changed his scheme. I don't know. Or Joe Burrow and them just came alive. But got a better defense this year. And I think the defense is going to be able to hold them out, especially here in the Mile High State. We almost beat them in Cincinnati last year. Honestly, we should have. Sean Payton wouldn't have been chicken. Like, I love Sean, but he should have went for the 2 points at the end of the game. He very easily couldn't. That defense was atrocious. Bo Nix could have got that 2 points and won that game, in my opinion.
It probably haunts him till this day, Eddie. That game probably.
I guarantee it. Well, I don't know about Sean. Maybe it does. But I know Bo Nix, it haunts him probably every freaking night to this day. Because he was even saying, I want to go for 2.
Exactly. Sean Payton was like, no.
But with that said, the Cincinnati Bengals defense is honestly worse than last year.
Yep.
I didn't even think that was possible. They didn't do anything to bolster that defense. And the reason why I say it's worse than last year is because they're fighting with Trey Hendrickson. Or is it Trey Hendrickson? Yeah, I think it is. They can't come to a deal with the guy. Their best defensive player, their star pass rusher. The only reason why that defense was even somewhat competitive last year, oh my God, what are they doing with this guy? Like, they're going to piss him off to where he's not going to want to come back and play. He's going to demand a trade, which I didn't believe he already has. And on top of that, the cherry on top of that for their defense, they pissed off their first-round pick they drafted.
He's still not signed, right, Eddie?
No, he's not. He's already said he's not reporting to training camp either. Neither one of them are. Like, I love Joe Burrow. I think he's a great quarterback. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, great wide receivers, man. If I was Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, I'd be demanding a trade out of freaking Cincinnati right now. That organization, that ownership sucks.
They do.
They are cheap wads. They really are cheap wads. Like, it's been said around the NFL, man. Like, I've heard people saying if I was Joe Burrow, I'd demand a trade out of Cincinnati right now. That organization is going to waste that poor man's career because they're cheap and they don't want to pay nobody. Yeah. They're literally just destroying the team. Even though they got a franchise Hall of Fame quarterback, they're going to destroy his career and his legacy because they refuse to do anything. They refuse to pay people. So, like, I believe this game is going to be, a little harder, but it's not like Bo Nix and this offense are going to have a freaking field day against that defense. They scored, 24 points last year with Hendrickson. Broncos didn't have a tight end one, didn't really know what much they had in the receiver room, didn't have a running game. This year, the Broncos have a running game. They have a tight end. They know what they got in the receivers, and the defense for the Cincinnati Bengals got worse. I'm expecting over 30 points to be scored by the Broncos offense this year, especially since it's at home.
Yep.
Joe Burrow and that offense, pretty much the whole team, that whole franchise, that whole organization is 3 players: T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. And it's going to be on those 3 to score probably like 40 points against the Broncos in order to win against them. And even though I think Joe Burrow and them could do it, I think this defense is going to be way too good this year that they're going to be able to limit them to an extent. And the Cincinnati Bengals defense is so bad that Bo Nix is probably going to score over 40 points with this offense.
And you know what, Eddie? The thing is, time of possession is going to be way better for the Broncos as far as the offense.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to help our defense, which is already going to be even better than last season. So That's where I'm counting on, Eddie. We're gonna run
And
the ball more.
well, that's the thing too. Like if you can run the ball, say you can hold the ball for almost 40 minutes out of a 60-minute game. If you can hold that ball for 40 minutes, then it's going to have like they're going to have to throw it. They're not going to be able to run the ball. They're going to have to throw it. If they're down major and the Broncos are controlling time of possession, they got like almost 40 minutes of of time, and the Bengals only got like 20 something. They're gonna have to throw, and they literally will not be able. Joe Burrow and them will not. Like, I'm not saying they will because it's Joe Burrow is that good, but they literally cannot miss a down. They can't make a mistake. They can't not get a first down. They're gonna have to get all of that because that's what they're gonna have to do to beat this Broncos team. And I love Joe Burrow. I just don't think they're going to be able to be perfect. They're basically going to have to be perfect to beat the Broncos on offense. They're going to have to be. And I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. Joe Burrow was far from perfect last year whenever they played the Broncos. So,
You're gonna throw some interceptions. I tell you that.
yep. But next up, we got the New York Jets. This game, I believe, is in I think it's in London, if I remember right. The Jets game. So it's basically a home game for the Jets, but not really since it's across the pond. But do you believe this game is hard or easy, and why?
I honestly think it's gonna be easy, Eddie. I'm not like what who do they have really? The Jets. They were watched last season with all the problems. They finally got rid of Aaron Rodgers, got a new coach. I'm sorry, they're not scary at all to me, Eddie. So I would put it somewhere with the easier games of the season. So I could see the Broncos not having a problem sailing, getting an easy win on the road against the Jets.
Yeah, I believe this game is going to be somewhat easy. I don't think it's going to be hard. Like Anthony Glenn's first head coaching job, he's got Justin Fields, who I think could be a solid quarterback. I think he's better than Russell Wilson was last year. Steelers were stupid for not, keeping him in, but I don't think that's going to make a difference. Like we beat the Jets last year in New York with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback. Now you could sit there and say Aaron Rodgers is worse than Justin Fields. Justin Fields is better, whichever. We still beat them in their house. Yeah, and it was a raining game. That was Bo Nix's what? That was his fourth game of the year last year. And Bo Nix didn't have a great game. He only threw for 60 yards. Our defense shut that offense down. And honestly, they kind of did the same thing to Justin Fields last year. Justin Fields played the Broncos last year in week 2 in Denver. Yeah, we lost that game because it was Bo Nix's second game going up against that Pittsburgh Steelers defense at the time. We only scored 6 points, but guess what? Justin Fields and the offense only scored 13.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm not worried about it. This game's going to be easy. The Broncos are going to be able to take this game and they're going to be able to win it easily. I mean, they might have the Jets might give them a small problem, but I think the Broncos are, well rounded enough on this entire roster to deal with that. So I'm not too concerned. So next up, we got the New York Giants coming to Denver to play the Broncos. What week is that? Week 7. We got the Giants coming to Denver to play the Broncos. Could this possibly be the Russell Wilson, revenge game? But Mohammed, easy or hard, and why?
Not yet. Like that'd be like the Jets game, Eddie. Not scared. The only thing I would say about that game, Eddie, the fact that we're coming back from, we were in the road. We're coming back. I think it's a Thursday night game, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No,
It's
it's a
not
Sunday game. It's a Sunday afternoon game.
Sunday afternoon. Yeah, coming from the road, like, because we were coming from London, right? That might affect it a little bit, but still, I don't see us losing the game, Eddie. It's not one of those tough teams that we got to play, so I'm not really worried about it. And I
My
know you can.
apologies. I skipped over a game between the Bengals and Jets. I skipped over one game.
Which one?
Week 5, we're at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, and what a game
Uh,
did you skip?
Yeah, I don't know why I skipped over. I don't know why. Maybe my brain just doesn't want to process it. But we got your take on the Giants. I'll give my take here in a minute. But what is your take on the Eagles? Hard, easy, and why?
Ooh, Eddie, that's probably going to be one of the hardest games, if not the hardest one. We play, they're the reigning Super Bowl champs. I think we're going to their house. It's tough, Eddie. But at the same time, I'm kind of excited to see that game because it's going to tell us where the Broncos stand. Like, if you're a team that's trying to go win some playoff games, you have aspirations to go to the Super Bowl, soon, hopefully soon. These are the kind of games that you're going to have to win. You know, our running defense is going to be challenged. You know, how can we run the football against them too? Against their defense. Um, can we stop the run? All those questions. So I don't think we're gonna win, but I don't think it's gonna be a blowout neither. I think the Broncos gonna put they play, but I think they're just gonna be too much for us to handle, and they'll probably end up like beating us by a score or two.
Yeah, I believe this game is going to be the hardest game on the schedule this year. This is the hardest game of the season, in my opinion. Um, Reigning Super Bowl champions, in that environment going up there against the Eagles in Philadelphia, it's going to be hard. And I do think, of course, I believe the Eagles are going to beat us because I don't think the Broncos are ready there yet. But I do think it's going to be a close game, like a field goal, a touchdown at least or less. But I'm predicting like a field goal game. Eagles win, and the Broncos are really going to start putting their foot down. Like, hey, you know what? We're here. We're able to compete with the big dogs. We might not be there yet to win, but we're close. So I feel like that's what's going to happen in that game. Um, their defense is still really good, even though they lost a lot of pieces. Jalen Hurts in that offense, they still got pretty much all their pieces on offense, offensive line, weapons, Jalen Hurts, the run game. Saquon to me is a big issue. Like, we just got to see how this Broncos run defense is this year. I have a feeling that if the Broncos run defense doesn't show up in those first 4 weeks, that's exactly what the Eagles are going to do. They're just going to run all over us. And that could be a big issue for us and this defense and for other teams to see, but like, hey, just run the ball. Denver can't stop you. But at the same time, the Eagles' offensive line and the run game were so dang good that just because if they kick the Broncos' ass in the run game doesn't mean every team's going to be able to do that. I mean, you got the best running back in the game, honestly, the best offensive line in the game.
Yep.
So I wouldn't, if I was another team, I wouldn't be betting on that, even if they spanked the Broncos' defense on the run game. But this takes me into my, take on the New York Giants. I think it'll be a little harder than normal people think, even if it's Russell Wilson, because you got the Eagles in Philadelphia, then you go over the pond to London to play the Jets, and then you finally come back home to Denver to play the Giants. That's a lot of travel in a 3-week time span, man. It really is. And this game's going to be rough. I think the players are going to be jet lagged. I think they're going to be tired. They're going to be wore out. But and I do like the Giants defense. The Giants have a really, really good defense. It's their offense is just like the Bengals. Offense is really good, defense is atrocious. But with the Giants, it's the vice versa. Defense is solid. I wouldn't say really good, but it's solid. Their offense is a horrible mess. Like they got who they got? They got Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and what's the other guys? Jackson Dart, I think the other guy's name is the rookie they drafted. If it's Russell Wilson, honestly, if Russell Wilson's the starter, I feel a lot more comfortable with winning this game. I would, I'd be like, yeah, we're going to kill them because Russell Wilson's going to pretty much give us the game. Not because, well, he's going to give it to us because he's going to make dumb mistakes. He's going to throw picks. He's going to run himself into sacks on this Broncos defense. It's just going to happen because that's how bad he is. And two, Russell Wilson personally owes us this. So if he drops this game, I would not be, sad about it. But after all the stuff he's done to Broncos country, and I'm not just talking about the Super Bowl loss, I'm talking about all the stuff he did while he was here. But if it's Jameis Winston, dude, the guy's going to throw freaking at least 2 pick sixes to us like he did last year with the Browns. Jackson Dart, he's a rookie. He's probably going to have a hard time battling this Broncos defense in Denver. So, but yeah, I think the Broncos win this game. It's going to be hard just because of the all the traveling that we're going to be doing leading up to that game. But I still think the Broncos are going to be able to pull it out. Next up, the next week we got the Dallas Cowboys here in Denver. Mohammed, do you think this is easy or hard, and why?
Oh, I love playing the Cowboys. Woo, Eddie. It doesn't really matter what kind of team they have. There's something when they come to the Broncos, when they play the Broncos, they just cannot figure it out. I don't know what it is. It's always a blowout. Even when we had teams that were kind of terrible, Eddie, same thing. Just when we play the Cowboys, I don't know what's going on. Jerry's world, right? I think it's going to be easy. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to be throwing interceptions. They're going to fumble the ball. Our defense is going to give them hell. We're going to win. Is it going to be a blowout? Maybe, but I would say this is going to be an easier game for the Broncos.
Definitely easy. I'm not even worried about the freaking Cowboys. They got a head coach that nobody else wanted. So there's step one. Like our coach, makes their coach look like a freaking peanut. Mm-hmm. So I'm not even worried about that. And two, let me think back. The last time we played the Cowboys, we played them in Jerry World, kicked their ass 30-16, which honestly was worse than that because Dak was like, "Hey, garbage time points." They didn't score their first point in that game until 5 minutes left to go in the game. They were down 30-0 with 5 minutes left. And the Broncos defense is like, Vic Fangio's like, "Hey, we're just going to play preventative rule defense. Go ahead, do whatever. We already won this game." And that was with Vic Fangio, who I don't think is a great head coach. He surely is not Sean Payton's level. And, let me remember. Who was our quarterback at that time? Oh, yeah. Check down Teddy.
Teddy Bridgewater, yep.
So we're going to spank them. And that was in Jerry World. We're here. The Cowboys have a worse roster, a worse head coach. They're not going to be at home. The Broncos have better roster, better coach, better quarterback. And we're at home. We're going to kill them. I wouldn't be surprised if this game was 45-0 going into the fourth quarter. And yes, I understand Dak Prescott was hurt last year and the Cowboys were horrible, but dude, come on. Even Michael Parsons is not even showing up for training camp because he wants a deal and they're not signing him. Nope. Oh my God, dude, this is going to be a bloodbath. I think it'll be a little harder, but dude, oh my God.
How about them Cowboys?
Dude,
America's team.
That's all I can say. The Cowboys are going to suck this year. I don't think they're going to do, even with Dak, they're not going to do shit this year.
Nope.
They're going to probably be, let's see, who's in that division? Honestly, they're probably the Commanders are definitely going to be better than them. So are the Eagles. Dude, they're going to be fighting with the Giants for last place. I'm sorry to tell you.
They might be third on the division.
They're not America's team anymore. America's team, that's any team that can beat the Chiefs, in my opinion. So, or the Eagles.
Yep.
But next up on the list, we got the Houston Texans, and I think it's Houston, Week 9. Mohammed, easy or hard, and why?
Ouch, Eddie. Definitely not going to be an easy game for the Broncos. They match up pretty well. The only thing I would say is their O-line was kind of atrocious last season, and that's why they had such an issue. But I think this season they got a little bit better, but we're playing them there. I don't see the Broncos winning that one, Eddie. It's going to be close. They might win, but it's going to be a close one. Definitely one of those hard teams or games on our schedule.
I'm going to say about even. I'm about even on this. I can't say it's going to be easy or hard because the last time we played the Houston Texans was in Houston in 2023. And honestly, we should have won that. That was C.J. Stroud's rookie year. We should have won that if Russell Wilson wasn't stupid and threw, I think, what was it, 3 picks?
3 picks, yeah.
in that freaking game. Our defense was holding CJ Stroud. We could have won that game. And this year, you got Sean Payton still. You got a better roster. And guess what? You got your franchise QB who's not named Russell Wilson. That sucks ass. Excuse my language. Um, I believe the Broncos are going to win this game, but I think it's about even. It's going to be a good game. I think the Texans and the Broncos could be about the same, but I think the Broncos pull it out here. Um, you know, I just the fact that we almost beat them a couple years ago with Russell Wilson. If he doesn't throw those 3 picks, we probably beat them in that game. So with Nick's Sean Payton's guy, yeah, it's ours. So I'm gonna say it's about even, and I think the Broncos win. They're gonna be, it's I guess you could say it's easier because we have a better roster, better quarterback, and that's just the way I feel about it. You ain't got a quarterback that's gonna throw multiple picks in a game. So moving on to the next one. I believe the next team, and Muhammad, you're gonna love this. Las Vegas Raiders here in Denver. Easy, hard, why?
My favorite team, Eddie. Kidding, right? I think they're going to be a little bit better than anticipated with a better coach, running back, all that. I don't. I think we're going to win this game, Eddie. Like I said, it's not as we like initially. I thought the Raiders going to be like horrendous and all that, but I think they're going to be decent. It's going to be a little bit challenging, but as far as the Broncos, I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win. Like last season, both games, I think. But definitely a win for us.
This is easy. I like Pete Carroll. He's a good head coach, but Geno Smith, outside of Brock Bowers, they have no one to throw the ball to. And the secondary, no one's going to be able to throw the ball on us. If you're going to be this, you're going to have to run the ball. And I think that's what the Raiders are going to try to do is run the ball. And with Genty being a rookie, good luck. That's all I could say. Their defense, don't even get me freaking started. Don't. Just don't. Bo Nix and this offense are going to have over 35 points this game. They're going to kill them. They are going to destroy them. Max Crosby is the only good player on that defense. And we kicked the shit out of them twice last year. We beat them down both times. And that was without a tight end and without a run game. Let's see. The Broncos have a run game, have more receivers, and have a tight end. Yeah, Bo Nix is going to score over 35 points. It's not even a freaking debate at this point. We're going to kick the shit out of the Raiders. So,
are we playing them at home, Eddie, or the first game?
Yeah, it's at home. It's in Denver, the first game.
Yeah, they don't stand a chance.
So, all I can say is, ha! But yeah, I'm going to go easy here. Next one up is my favorite team. We got the Chiefs in Denver, week 11. Muhammad, hard, easy, and why?
I wouldn't say it was easy. I'm not gonna go there, Eddie. They're not as good as they used to be. Obviously, they gotten worse, and I didn't think they were good last year. So that's gonna be a win for the Broncos. It's gonna finally show that the Broncos are actually the team that's gonna be able to beat the Chiefs consistently, I think. So yeah, they don't scare me at all. Their defense is aging. They don't really have anyone. Their offense, Kelsey is pretty much. He was supposed to be gone this season. I think he should have retired. I don't know why he's continuing to play. Kind of reminds me of that meme I sent you, Eddie. If Mahomes didn't have Kelsey, he'll be like Kirk Cousins, right? I mean, sort of. Kirk Cousins will be a little better. But yeah, and yeah, I'm not scared. That's going to be a win for the Broncos.
If he ain't got Kelsey, he's Kirk Cousins. Oh, you're gonna piss a lot of Chief fans off for that one, but good. I love it. I think this game's gonna be hard, but ultimately the Broncos are gonna take it. Like I've already said this. Like I've said this earlier. The Chargers have taken a step back. The Chiefs have taken a step back. The Raiders and Broncos are the only two people, in my opinion, that take steps forward. But the Raiders, the steps forward they took they're small and incremental, and they're not really going to make that big of a difference this year. But the Chiefs, Kelsey's done. Like, I think he's stupid for trying to come back and play another year. People are like, well, he wants to come back and play another year because he's embarrassed by that Super Bowl. I'd be like, I would be too, because he literally didn't do shit.
Yeah.
He stood there. Dude, I cannot get this play out of my head. There was one play that, I mean, the Chiefs were down majorly, but Mahomes is sitting there running around, scrambling around like crazy, just trying to pick up the first down. Here's Kelsey, just walking, just looking, not trying to help his quarterback, just sitting there staring at him and just walking down the field. Barely even got his hand up. Like, the guy, you're done, dude. Your body's telling you you're done. Your mind's telling you you're done. Get the fuck off the football field. Go retire. Spend time with your, superstar girlfriend. You got your money. Go. No, I want to come back for another. Okay, well, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
It's gonna be worse. It's gonna be worse for him.
Good. I'm happy about that. And Andy Reid, he basically said he's coming back for the 2025 season. And after that, he doesn't know.
I would retire if I was him. Okay, Eddie's. Eddie, you're frozen for a minute there. Okay, you're back.
Oh,
yeah.
Andy Reid, he pretty much pretty much said it was my last year, and I think they're going to miss the playoffs, and they're both going to retire, Reid and Kelsey. So I got the Broncos winning this, and I think it's going to be hard, but the Broncos are going to win it easily. Let's see. Give me a second here. I got to look at the schedule. I forgot who was next. My apologies, guys. Then we had the bye week in week 12. Then we come back and we go on the road to Washington to play the Commanders. Hard or easy, Muhammad, and why?
Hard, definitely hard, Eddie. Kind of right there with where the Eagles are. They match up pretty well, Eddie. I mean, they're good in all phases, pretty much. It's going to be a big test for the Broncos on the road. I'm actually trying to go to that game. Hopefully, I'm able to. It's going to be close, but I honestly think that Commanders probably beat us in the end. It could go either way, really, but it's going to be close.
I stay about even. The Commanders' defense does not scare me. They're not that good-ish, but Jaden Daniels, whenever he played against an elite defense like the Eagles last year, he struggled. Like all 3 times. He played the Eagles 3 times, and I believe I can't remember if he lost all 3. I know he lost in the championship game. I think he lost once in the regular season. I can't remember if he lost the other time or won, but he's going to have trouble against this Broncos defense. I think it's about even. I think the Broncos win this game. But I think Bo Nix, like Jaden Daniels, you talk about the sophomore slump. I don't think Bo Nix does have the sophomore slump this year because he's had the same play caller, consecutive years and the first time in his career in years. So I think that helps. He's got better weapons now, and I'm pretty sure if I heard right, in Washington, I think they're having trouble. I don't think Terry McLaurin's showing up to training camp because they're having contract disputes.
Oh, okay.
So that would leave me. I mean, he might be signed by this point. I don't know, but it just seems like there's a lot of friction. And we got Cortland Sutton, a guy of the same thing that, and like I said, the Commanders, I don't know if they're willing to sign Taylor McLaurin for what he wants. Cortland Sutton actually, and if from my understanding, Terry McLaurin didn't show up to mandatory minicamp or OTAs. Cortland Sutton showed up to everything this year. Basically, it's the same situation. The quarterback going into year 2 and 2 receivers that are older guys looking for new deals or at least some kind of a new deal. One showed up with his quarterback, the other didn't. That causes problems. So I think this is going to be a game where the Broncos can take. And I don't think I think Bo Nix is going to have an easier time in this game than Jaden Daniels is. Because our defense is a lot more deadly than our Washington Commanders defense. So, but that's my takeaway from that game. Next up, week 14, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 more games. Next up, we got the Raiders again in Las Vegas. And I'm not really going to go over too much on this one because we have already talked about it with, the home game. Even though I do have the Broncos losing this game because I do think they're going to go 3-3 in the division this year. I think this is the game where later in the year, I think Pete Carroll and them, they squeeze a win. The Broncos are trying to take it easy a little bit. They just went on a major run. Like I had them beating the Jets, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Texans, the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Commanders. I think the Broncos are going to be kind of sit back a little bit, and the Raiders take this game. So, uh, then next up, you got the Green Bay Packers in Denver. Muhammad, easy, hard, and why?
I would say probably even on that one, Eddie. They're not like they don't really kind of scare me per se, as far as offense or defense, but they're not, they're not gonna be. It's not gonna be like an easy game for the Broncos neither. So I do see the Broncos winning that one, probably by a score or two.
I'm going to say even too, only because I think the Packers are a good young team, but they just lost Jair Alexander, their top corner. So their defense did get worse. So I think Bo Nix and the Broncos are going to be able to throw the ball downfield. Like, I don't know if any other people in their secondary are really all that good. Uh, but they do have a bunch of young talent on the offense, especially. But I think with this Broncos defense, they're going to be able to handle it. So I'm going to say even. And, the Broncos, they're going to take this game. Next up, we got three more games. Um, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars in Denver. Muhammad, easy, hard, and why?
Easy. Not really scared of the Jaguars. I know they got a top flight wide receiver slash cornerback, but I honestly don't think they're going to be that good, Eddie. I know they made some moves. They got a new coach and a new toy, but nah. But I would say it's probably going to be one of the easiest games for the Broncos. I see the Broncos winning, no issues.
I'm going to say easy too. New coach. Dude, honestly, I don't know if Trevor Lawrence can hack it in this league. Their offensive line's bad. Their defense is okay. Outside of, I mean, they got two good receivers if you want to count Travis Hunter as a receiver and not a corner. Because I think by midseason, dude, they're going to have him play just one side of the ball exclusively. I don't think they're going to have him play both sides all year. And then you got Brian Thomas Jr. on the offense too. So I'm going to say easy though. I think this is at home in Denver. The Jags are coming from Jacksonville, below sea level to mile high. They're going to have a hard time breathing up here at this elevation. Trust me, because whenever I moved from Georgia or South Carolina to here, it took me 2 weeks to get freaking used to the air here.
Yeah.
So, but with that said, I feel like the Broncos got this one. They're going to easily beat the Jags. Now, the last two teams are both division rivals, but these games at the end of the year, I think, because these are the last two games of the season, these games are going to mean more. But you got the Chiefs in Kansas City. This is Christmas Day. Easy, hard, and why, Mohammed?
I think it's gonna be hard, Eddie. They're gonna be embarrassed in front of the whole nation, and I love it. I can't wait, for that to happen. Everybody's gonna see the Broncos are here to stay, you know. So
I'm going to say really hard, only for the simple fact I think this because I told you I had the Chiefs missing the playoffs this year. I still think they go right around the 9-win, 10-win mark. And I think this game it's going to be in Kansas City on Christmas Day, and the Chiefs are going to be fighting at this point to keep their playoff hopes alive. I really believe that they're going to be fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive. They're going to be sitting right at that 9-8 win mark right there, and I think they beat the Broncos here. They throw everything they can. They literally throw the hammer down. This could possibly be Andy Reid and Travis Kelce's last big game to play against the Broncos, and I think they throw everything at the wall and they squeak out a victory here against us. And they beat the Broncos. I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring affair. I think it's gonna be more like a 13-10 type game because
okay,
it's Christmas Day. It's probably going to be snowy, most likely, or at least really cold in Denver. And you're going to have the Broncos and Chiefs both fighting. Like I said, the Chiefs are going to be fighting for the playoff lives at this point. And Reed and Kelsey, since this is probably most likely going to be the last hurrah against the Broncos, I think they go out. Like I'll give that to the Chiefs. They'll go out with a win here against the Broncos. Andy Reid and Travis Kelsey will retire. They'll have that final win over the Broncos, which whatever, I don't care. Let them have it. Let them have that small margin of victory. Um, but that's what I think about that game. Now, the last game of the season, right here in Denver, baby, just like it was the first year I moved here, the first ever home Broncos game I've been to. was Week 18, 2022. The Broncos host the Chargers. Muhammad, easy, hard, and why?
Wouldn't I would probably say even Eddie. I wouldn't say it was going to be hard, but I do think the Broncos are going to win at home or the last game, unless we're somehow guaranteed to have the bye week and we're resting our starters. I mean, we got to think about that possibility too, Eddie. You know that might change the outcome, but for the most part, I see the Broncos winning this game. Can you imagine, Eddie?
Um, I'm going to say even,
Hmm.
but even in the sense that it's going to be a hard game to play for both sides. Because I think this is the game, week 18, Chargers come to Denver. This is going to be the game that decides the division. This will be the game that decides the division. Whoever wins this wins the AFC West. And it's going to be a hard for both sides, not just the Broncos, Chargers too, a hard fought victory. Because I do believe the biggest threat in the AFC this year is to the Broncos is the Chargers.
Yeah.
And I believe the division is going to come down to this final game. And if the Broncos win the game the week prior against the Chiefs, like I said, they're going to be trying to throw everything they can at the wall. Andy Reid and Travis Kelce's last game against the Broncos, they're going to be trying to do everything to claw their way into maybe getting a wild card spot, their last game together. And I feel like the Broncos are going to lose, even though the Broncos could lock up the division with that win against the Chiefs on Christmas Day. They lose, and the division comes down to week 18, Chargers versus Broncos. And the Broncos, they take it. Like, it's going to be a hard fought game. But this game, I think, is going to be more of a, I'd say, it's not going to be like really, really close. I'd say probably like 21 to like 16. Still about a 5-point swing. Or wait, no. Yeah, 5 points. So I think that's what it's going to be. And Broncos won the division, for the first time in 10 years. This is going to be the first time in 10 years the Broncos won the division. And they go on. And maybe they face the Chargers again for a third time in the playoffs at some point, which I doubt because the Chargers are probably going to choke and, get humiliated in the playoffs like they always do. But that's my take. I think it's going to be an even game, but like I said, in the stance, it's going to be hard for both sides because they're both going to be fighting for that number one spot in the AFC West. And I think the Broncos come out of top. It's in Denver. I just think the Denver Broncos have an overall better roster. They have a better coach. They have better ownership. They have a better quarterback and a better offensive line and a better defense. They have the Broncos overall have everything. Everything for the Broncos is better than the Chargers. And this is going to be the game, I think. So, this is the game, I think, because I think it'll probably be about 14-16 going into the final 2 minutes of that game. And this kind of goes into my point we talked about last week with Carl. I think this is where Bo Nix, or I don't know if we talked about this last week, but I think this is where Bo Nix plants his flag as the face of the franchise for the Denver Broncos. 2 minutes left to go in the game. We're down 14-16 in with 2 minutes left. Bo Nix takes that entire 2 minutes, marches down the field, scores a touchdown. 21-16, Broncos take it. Bo Nix becomes the face of the franchise, and the league realizes the Broncos win the West. Bo Nix is the face of the franchise, and the whole world sees that the Broncos, Bo Nix, and Sean Payton are freaking back. That's
Nick
my
Wright.
takeaway from it.
Nick Wright.
What's up?
I said Nick Wright.
Dude, I'm going, like, if that happens, oh my God, I'm going to go. I'll be in the comment section the next day on there, be like, I'm going to say everything I can because, like, you can watch it live on YouTube, I think, and you can comment. I'm going to say every freaking thing I can to Nick Wright, especially if the Chiefs miss the playoffs. That's going to be glorious.
Yeah, that's a
So,
possibility, Eddie.
but that's my takeaway. So everybody, that's the show for today. Please like, comment, subscribe on this video. Also hit that bell notification so you know when we go live. Next week, we might have another mystery guest come onto the show. I'm not sure yet. I'll let you guys know as soon as I find out. But Mohammed, it's been great, man. Had a lot of fun today.
Same here, man. It was a great show for sure.
We're about 2.5 weeks away from the start of training camp, guys. And, good news, we have a football game at the end of this month. So we got football this month. The Hall of Fame came July 31st. I think it's the Detroit Lions at the Los Angeles Chargers. So football is back, guys. As soon as training camp starts, it's going to fly by preseason, and the season's going to be here before we know it. So, again, hit that like, comment, subscribe button, all that stuff, and we will talk to you guys next week. Peace.
All right. Good night, everyone.